until December 2nd, 2015, when I walked in the office and I said, "You're a giant asshole," and I quit.
Whoa, hey, what are you doing, man? We don't have the rights to that. Hey, thanks for tuning in to the latest episode of Rise, Grind, Repeat. Today we talked to Sarah from Mother of Marketing. She's huge on social media, so we dive into how she comes up with strategy for her clients, and she has a very unique view on her hashtag strategy and research, so make sure you listen. Let's hop right in. Yeah, first and foremost, thanks for coming in, and I would love to just dive right in, and but first would love to just kind of, you're doing a lot of everything, all the videos I've been watching, you preach exactly what we preach in here, and so would love to just get kind of a background and let you introduce yourself, where do you come from, and all that fun stuff.
I am the mother of marketing. I come from the north, and it's super cold and wet there, and I moved here where it's super hot and dry, and I've been doing marketing for like 9 years now, but I started out in the fine arts realm and was getting my degree in painting. And then all of a sudden I was pregnant and I'm like, oh shit, well, art is not viable anymore. I need something that's going to make money. And I had been side hustling social media marketing on the side for a couple of years. So I found a couple of jobs through ASU's what used to be super awesome career website, and applied for those positions and got 2 of them, and then worked both of those part-time, and then finished my degree in drawing and art business, basically. I ended up getting a degree in art studies because I have like 7 minors and I spent way too much time in college, to be honest. And after I graduated college, I had a hard time finding a job because being a single mom with a son and very non-flex hours, not a lot of places wanted to hire me because they expected me to travel. So I worked as a preschool teacher and then continued to hustle on the side on top of it. And then I would say September 2014, I finally got a series of interviews with this agency, and I was so desperate for a job at that point that I was like, yes, God, please give me a job. And I started working there and making $32,000 a year. I was still living with my parents and raising a young baby, who was barely a year old at that point. So after about 6 months of working there, just doing general social media for them, I started feeling like there wasn't a whole lot of structure to the department, and it wasn't really a department. So I decided, I'm going to build your department for you. And then once I prove that I've met these 10 goals I've set for myself, you're going to pay me $50,000 a year. And I'm thinking like, that's a ton of money. Like, I'm totally
going from
down with
35 to that's a huge jump. That's almost double. Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to do this. So I did it in a month. And I presented that information to him, and he's like, I think you need to prove yourself more. And I'm like, I think you just want me to do the work for free, and I'm not going to do that. So I'm either going to stop doing what I'm doing, or you're going to pay me this. So then we made that agreement, and then he asked me to travel once a month to these conferences that he would hold. And I did that. And then after 2 of them, he said, now I need you to do it 3 times a month. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm a single mom. Yeah. My son is, I'm all my son has.
Every week.
Yeah. That's ridiculous. And he said, well, then that's going to be an issue, and I'm going to have to ask you to step down. So knowing this in the back of my head, I had 2 months to figure something out. And I grabbed a couple of bigger clients, and I worked basically 70, 80 hours a week until December 2nd, 2015, when I walked in the office and I said, you're a giant asshole, and I quit. With other like choice language as well. And he said, I think it'd be best if you left now. And I'm like, yeah, you can pay me my 2 weeks because I gave you my 2 weeks. And so he said, all right. So gave me my 2 weeks, and then I started full time with what was then called the Blonde Spot. And I remarketed myself to be Mother of Marketing because Game of Thrones, and because I was getting too many like, oh, that's cute comments from old dudes that I was like,
makes sense.
I hate you. So yeah.
Makes sense. So whenever you were doing the social media stuff, was it the organic posting? Was it running social ads, or was it both?
It's a mixture of both. So while I was pregnant, I was also working with the Google program over at Ravana in Tempe.
No way.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That's where this all started
really?
for me, and that's how I met him. And
That's
so
crazy.
yeah, Ravana,
Yeah.
the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah. I mean, that company kind of sucks, but at the same time, like, thank you, Ravana. I know so many people from there now.
Crazy the education you can get and get paid for it. It's way more
I
ROI
know.
positive than spending 4 years at a college.
Yeah,
I mean,
or sitting there teaching it to yourself
Yep.
and not fully grasping the entire concept. Like, who got to spend 8 hours a day learning about Google AdWords and then go do it?
Yeah.
So, like, I did that for a little while, and when I had my son is when I took my maternity leave, and then I ended up deciding not to go back because I needed to finish my degree as a child and be by myself. I just couldn't deal with that anymore. So, but anyway, I have certification in Google AdWords, and I've kept up with it over the years. So I like to incorporate a healthy mixture of Google ads, Facebook ads. We've been testing out Twitter and Pinterest a little bit here and there. I'm not really terribly impressed. And we also incorporate like email and whatever traditional marketing a business might be incorporating into their current marketing plan. So we come from a holistic perspective and kind of take social media and fit it into the puzzle so that it all just works and is streamlined together.
Awesome. Love it. And then whenever we were chatting, you mentioned you want to talk about Instagram. So, I mean, it's Google search is always the super powerful. It's the intent is there. But the conversion rates are great. But what fascinates you about Instagram, and why are you so huge on it?
Instagram is really an opportunity to visually showcase your work and who you are as an individual. And that's kind of a challenge with offline marketing or networking groups. Like you can present yourself to these people maybe 1 or 2 times a month or once a week if you're lucky. But that comes with a heavy price tag. Like, I'm a part of a couple networking groups that cost me a pretty penny.
Yeah.
And I hate that so much. But Instagram, it's a free opportunity to network with other people, build Instagram pods inside the direct messages app, as well as, share your story with people constantly. Something that is different about digital marketing versus traditional marketing is that it's much more story-driven, and people are willing to connect with you on an authentic basis versus like, what do you have to offer me in these 5 seconds of me meeting with you? Like, what's your elevator pitch? On Instagram, like, people aren't looking for your elevator pitch. They're looking for what makes you you and what establishes you as an original human being. And I like that more, especially because I hate advertising and commercials. Like, that's just not who I am as an individual. And Instagram allows me to market myself or sell myself, but through my own personal way.
When did you start tripling down on Instagram?
So I've been hardcore on Instagram for the last 3 years, but for myself personally, when I found the time was within the last 12 months. And a lot of the work that I've put in has been more on creating a higher level of engagement as opposed to growing my following. It's, I'm sure you've heard of like micro influencers and everything.
Yeah.
I focus more on helping the women who are at home or the men who are at home with their families, raising them and doing the MLM kind of a thing, or they're having their own business, but they still want to be somewhat of an influencer or help make an impact within a smaller community. So focusing on having a higher level of engagement without having 10,000 plus followers has been easier for those people because, again, it goes back to being authentic and sharing your story and connecting with those people who do care about your story.
Exactly. And I absolutely love it because so many people get caught up on vanity numbers. How many subscribers do you have? How many, all this, how many people are following you? And it comes down to, I would rather have 10 followers and have 5 people buy from me rather than have 10,000 and no one even like it. And it amazes me where it's just like so many conversations where you're sitting there and it's like, yeah, we need more followers. It's like, why? Like, what is that going to do?
Yeah.
And that's why I personally love the data side of things, because then it's like, okay, well, if we're going to go after that, let's see how that correlates to sales and everything like that. And yeah, I mean, when you get people that start engaging, that's how other people can see your brand. That's how, essentially it's word of mouth on steroids, because now it's how other people are engaging, their thoughts, and you're gonna have someone jump in and be like, oh yeah, I worked with her, and it creates those little micro moments for people. I love it. And so with the advertising part, I hate ads too, but with what we can do with retargeting audiences across the different platforms, you can, I mean, essentially tell a story through advertising and advertise without the buy from me. This is how much it is, buy from me. But it's telling a story.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of people that I take on as clients who have been using the traditional sense of marketing language, like call now, click here, buy this link will take you here. Like, no one gives a shit about that. No one, including you. So why are you doing it? Yep. So what we help transform like their terrible marketing language into a story that helps bring a connection to someone's life. Because if you look at like a product, this plant on the table, for example, like this cactus, oh, cool. Like it's a fake plant. Why do I need it? Like, no, don't tell me how to decorate my home. I don't need that. Yep. But if you share like how this plant can make you feel, whether it's real or fake, like it can help you bring the outside in, bring you closer to nature when you're stuck in an office all day, so that you're not constantly grinding away. Like you can look at this plant as a reminder of that. Something that connects you emotionally and brings you back into the sense of the world. I mean, that was like a super off the top of the head thing, but kind of, developing off of those basic ideas will help people understand why marketing is the way that it is today.
Yeah, I mean, no, love the example you just did, because it's instead of just buy this, show someone how it could benefit their life, whether it's through emotion, whether it's saving time, whatever it is. And this, it's instead of buying this, it's showing connect to outside while being inside. And when you get someone to visualize that, all of a sudden the aha goes out and goes, oh, wow, I do need that. Like from the surface, most people realize, oh, I don't need that. It's just junk. But once you can show like, this is how it can make you feel or how it can save time, whatever it is, all of a sudden it's like, aha, yeah, now I get it. And then all of a sudden, that's where the retargeting comes in, where you can, okay, they engage there. Hey, now buy. Come with the buy now messaging if that's what you want to do. So how do you go about, I mean, this falls into basically brand identity, and that's you have a product or service. What are the problems it solves? Who are the people that have those problems? And so how do you go about that process to go from that buy now language to helping a client show that they have a story to tell?
We do a couple of different things. So with the clients that we take on as of late, a lot of them are used to not utilizing social media or not connecting with their audience because they've either had tons of influx from just word of mouth based content, word of mouth based people, or they've been doing ads online for however long. So we do a full-on evaluation of where they're currently at with their marketing and determine what kind of language that they've been using, what kind of language has been consistently converting people. And then we take that, we analyze their competitors, and then we develop a plan that allows them to understand how we're going to take what they had before and turn it into a story. We do a lot of like interviewing with the business owners and the employees and the staff and customers, and create customer stories and pathways that allow us to really dive in deep to what's going to trigger someone into making a purchase instead of just assuming that they're interested in this because they need it.
Love it. Love how much you just hit on the emotional side of things. And that's what it's all about, is just telling a story, because most people that start a business aren't there to, like, sure, there are some people that say, I want to start a business because I want to be a millionaire, but most of it isn't money driven. It's because they either have a passion at solving a problem or helping people, whatever it is. And more times than not, that's what sells people. It's not the product or service itself. It's the seeing the passion and your why behind what you're doing. And that's, I mean, yeah, we're just huge on the why. And that's exactly what you're doing, is getting everyone's why out. And by that, collectively, this is what creates the brand. This is how it looks, it feels. From there, this is how we communicate that to our audience. Love that you do the competitor research, because then you can leverage how they feel and the look and feel, and then you start creating the differentiators. Like, this is how we look and feel, this is how we make you feel, but this is how we're a little bit better, and that's how you sell without saying buy from me. And it takes time. And what is typically the biggest pushback on that? Is it I don't have time to sit and talk, I don't have time to It's
a lot of things, actually. Well, two major things, I'll say. The first is they don't understand the kind of investment that social media is. Social media is a long game. It's not a short game. You're not going to go viral next month. You're not going to go viral tomorrow. Like, there are some people that get lucky from that, but do you know how long they've been online already? Years. Like, come on, stop that. So we do a lot of talking up front about how this is a long-term investment. You have a minimum commitment with us, not because we're trying to lock you into a contract, but we're trying to help you understand and fully see any kind of investment that you might be having in the end game here. We also get a lot of pushback on the finance part of it. Social media marketing is all over the place in terms of price. You can hire someone in the Philippines who's $3 an hour, and they're more than happy to do 40 hours of work for you that'll cost less than $500, which is fantastic, but they're not going to produce the quality of work. They're not going to understand how to connect with your audience because they're in another country. They're not here on the ground listening to your customers and providing you with that social listening skill set that an actual social media marketer or firm or agency has. There's also some people be like, I don't think you're charging enough. I don't really trust that you're, providing me with a quality service. And it's like, okay, well, I'm also not a giant agency who's going to charge you $10K a month. Yeah. I am a small boutique firm that prices you fairly and doesn't focus on making a profit necessarily. Yeah, we want to make a profit. Obviously, everybody does. Yeah. But we're focused on actually helping you and providing you with solutions that give you what your company needs to grow, as opposed to just putting a price tag on it because we handle large clients.
Yeah, no. I love it because that's, after Ivana, that's what I did, is worked at a few agencies, and it was just like every decision that was made, every recommendation that was handed to the client was backed on what is going to help our margins rather than what value is going to bring. And it's that happens a lot. And so like what you're saying is just music to my ears, because that's exactly the philosophy that we have is like, sure, we want to make some money. That'd be great. We're going to work hard making it, not just, here's a $10,000 price tag. We're going to post a few times. But one thing you said was great is you could go and get someone that's $3 an hour out of the country. It fascinates me how many people focus on shopping on price rather than the ROI it drives. Like I'd rather pay $100,000 if it's going to drive me 10x ROI rather than paying $500 a month if it could be ROI negative. And it's so many people focus on the price tag rather than the value it brings, and it's crazy, but that's love how you're thinking there. I did want to ask the hashtag research. What we actually started using it. Love it. What made you start promoting that more? What got you into seeing the power of hashtags?
So I've always believed in the power of hashtags. It's been something that I've been focusing on for a long time, even before I started doing this full time. It mainly when I was working in an agency for someone else as my boss, it was convincing them of the power of hashtags and having to fight against it. And I'm like, look at this post who has like one branded hashtag versus this post that has one branded hashtag along with 25 to 29 other hashtags. Like, this is getting more engagement. More people are beginning to follow us and are interested in the business versus the people who are already following us and aren't really paying attention anyway. Yep. So, once I got to be my own boss and was able to be like, I don't care what anyone else says. Like, this is how it is. I'm the expert when it comes to approaching this conversation with a client, at least in their eyes. I don't like to call myself an expert. I'm just, I don't believe in that. So when I really started putting together like a list of groups of hashtags that really worked together and kind of sang a beautiful song and provided my clients with intense engagement and likes, that's when I was like, you know what? I think I want to give this away to everybody who needs it. But on the Game of Thrones note, like, Mother of Marketing is modeled after Mother of Dragons and the whole Khaleesi concept of like giving to others and making sure that it's not just a system built on giving to myself, it's giving to everyone around me and helping them and building them up. So in providing this hashtag guide, it really has helped a lot of the people that have utilized it on a consistent basis. You can't just use it whenever you want. Consistently, people, consistency. Yeah. They have seen, like I mentioned in all of my promo, an average of 24% growth within the first day of using the hashtags. Like, that's amazing. Yep. And when you start looking at, the content you're pairing with those hashtags and utilizing a variety as opposed to just hashtag everything that has to do with the color orange, then you're going to see more variety of people who begin following you as opposed to just the same old mom groups that already follow you.
Yep. Love it. What I love that you came out with it for free. That's so many people try and charge
$100 a month.
Yeah, $100 a month, or here $20 and you can have it. It's amazing how many people try and get the small dollars, and like if you were to give it for free, how much opportunity actually comes that far outweighs that whatever you're going to charge. So at what point, what made you want to do it for free, give it away for free, and why was your mindset that?
Yeah, so I have this thing called the Instagram Masterclass, and that is my paid product that I am redeveloping again after all the beta testing I've done the last year and a half. And in order to get people onto my email list to educate them about the Instagram Masterclass, I really needed something that was going to drive their interest. And all of the things that people have out there, like, an Instagram strategy sheet, or here's tips on how to develop your Instagram strategy. I'm like, none of this is helpful because it's applicable to thousands of people as opposed to the individual. So in using this hashtag list, like there are categories of a couple different groups of hashtags. So like personal finance, I think there's like 7 different hashtag groups in there that allow varieties of different personal finance bloggers to incorporate those tags on a rotating basis. And I kind of just did it based off of the people that were in my beta test groups. Like if you were to be given something free to opt into to learn more about this class, what would you want it to be? What would be helpful to you and help you understand the value that I'm able to provide you? And they were like, well, hashtags are really important. It takes a lot of time to find a good hashtag, and sometimes you don't even know what a good hashtag is. So I was like, okay, that makes sense. How much time do I realistically have these days to do my own hashtag research? Yeah. I don't have a lot of time. So for someone who's like me, who doesn't have time, to be able to have a guide, like 17 pages worth of hashtags that I can use at the drop of a hat, like that seems really valuable and something that people are going to be like, this is free? Cool. Well, if this is free, I can't even imagine how much my mind is going to be blown when I actually take this class.
Love it. All about bringing value. That's the name of the game. Long term and bring value. Don't sell, bring value, and long term, and all of a sudden the sales come. Yeah. It's amazing. What goes into the actual hashtag research? Do you literally just because I'm familiar with keyword research. Yeah. I test on my own personal one just to kind of see what works, but what is like your methodology and how you actually research the...
Yeah. So I do, where it all comes back to looking at what my competitors are doing or what a client's competitors are doing, what hashtags they're using, and then taking those hashtags, breaking them down one by one, and just performing a simple Instagram search. How many how many extra posts are pulled up with this specific hashtag? And then looking, so like hashtag dogs of Instagram, which by the way is super spammy and super hardcore shadow banned status. So don't ever use it. But let's use hashtag dogs of Instagram as an example. There are 11 million plus posts with that hashtag alone. You are never going to be seen with that hashtag. So why would you use it? Well, also it's shadow banned. So why would you use it anyway? But like understanding what hashtags are being used by a competitor and which ones have the best reach. And then putting them into that group. So to determine which hashtag has the best reach, it's best to look for something that has between 500,000 and 67,000 posts. That means that hashtag is being used really consistently, but it's also not being hardcore spammed by millions of users on Instagram. So we look for hashtags that are within that sweet spot. And then we just load up each group with those kinds of hashtags, as well as a few that kind of help put you into a larger generalized group of a couple million posts. Nothing insanely nothing insane over like 5 million or so posts within that hashtag. Because even then, you're not really going to show up a whole lot, and you might be targeted by a bot who's liking things based off that hashtag. So that's kind of how we do it. In terms of the hours that it takes to do all of this research, we were spending about 10 hours a week looking into hashtags specifically for each of our clients. So about 2 hours a day, Monday through Friday, if you're a weekend person, because I definitely am. So we would take like 30-minute chunks or 10-minute chunks out of those 2 hours, and then do just a broad term search on hashtags for a specific client to incorporate new hashtags into the hashtags we are already using. And now that I have this huge guide that I pull from every now and then, I have a little bit more time to be able to look into other groupings of hashtags and do research on my competitors who are also offering some kind of hashtag guide. There's this thing called the hashtag files, hashtag society, or something like that. It's a Facebook group where they want to charge you $100 a month for you to be a part of their Facebook group, and they give you what they say is like 100 hours of hashtag research every single month between 3 or 4 women. And I used 12 groups of their hashtags. And my hashtags had way more engagement compared to theirs. Yeah. It took 3 days for one of my posts to get the same, with their hashtags, to get the same level of engagement as it did for one of my posts with my hashtags in a 24-hour period. And like with Instagram and how many people are on that platform now and how timely posts have to be, you have a 24-hour period in order for your post to actually be successful and start pulling up more in that Instagram feed.
So it can start picking up steam at a 12, 15. It's not right away.
No, it's not right away. With a new client that I just signed on, she's an anchor and TV host out in California. And she's a super nice lady too. Another parent. I get a lot of parents because I'm like, we understand each other and the kid's loud in the background. It's fine. But she and I, she hadn't been really using a whole lot of hashtags and had really been focusing on making her audience the ones who engage. And when we started using hashtags, and testing out like the times of day to post for her, we started noticing that posting at 10:40 p.m. was more successful in terms of gaining new likes for her profile compared to posting in the afternoon when we would be thinking like, oh, a mom could just be sitting on the couch, feeding her baby, looking through Instagram or whatever. People are more apt to find your content later in the evening before they're going to bed or right when they wake up in the morning, and timing it at 10:40 p.m. allows us to say, okay, we're hitting the West Coast super late at night. And then we're also getting into the East Coast and some of the other outlying time zones that are later, like basically 2 or 3 in the morning. And these people are waking up pretty early or waking up around 6 a.m., 3 a.m. our time. And our post is going to be seen first in that feed because we've already had that West Coast engagement right at bedtime for when you're looking through your newspaper.
Yeah, newspaper. I love that. Quote unquote newspaper.
with quotes. There's no one watching me here.
I've got the cameras going,
okay,
so
good.
if whoever's watching on YouTube will be able to see you.
Sweet.
No, I love it because you're using data. That's what it all is. And I mean, how often are you using data to make all these decisions? It's
all the time. There isn't really any point in time where I'm not using data. Well, I will say there are times where I'm like, you know what? I have this gut feeling about this time and these hashtags. I'm just going to go with that and see what happens. And usually when that happens, it's because I've had history of data compiled in my brain, and I'm just collecting all that information and making an educated decision off of it.
It's funny because that's our exact approach. Is it's like, how often do you guys use data, not use data? And it's like, well, if we haven't really tested it, but there's other data that we tested before and it's similar, it's literally just throwing stuff against the wall, and then we use data to really see how can we change messaging, our targeting, where we're you
have to test a 1,000 times in order to be able to have a solid amount of data to back your decisions on why you're posting this picture with this caption, these hashtags at this time.
Yeah. And how do you go about, I guess, looking at that data? Do you just create a spreadsheet? Do you have a certain tool that you use?
I have a couple of tools and then intuition as well. So with Instagram, the in-platform analytics, I typically pull that based off of a story or a post or their profile overall, and I screenshot that information and upload it into like their client folder. And I also utilize Sprout Social as one of my social media automation tools, and later.com and Planoly. And I pull the analytics from there in an Excel format, uploaded it as a spreadsheet, and kind of do just a brief analysis on my own to compare it to what Instagram is telling me to make sure that it's accurate. And then I use both of that information compiled together to inform my decisions.
Love it. How come you went with Sprout? I mean, there's a ton of tools out there now. One that I just recently found was Falcon.io. So I guess what made you go? Have you tested all of them?
I've tested about probably in upwards of over 40 different tools for Instagram specifically.
Oh, just for Instagram
Just for
specifically?
Instagram.
Not even just like multiple channels?
Yeah, just tools alone. Yeah. And I kind of honed in on my favorites. I love Sprout Social. I don't love the price. I feel like it's super expensive, which is why everyone is always like, why are you using Sprout Social? It's super expensive. And I'm like, you are right. But I also love all the data they have. And because they are such an established company, they've been around for 10 plus years, they are able to invest more in developing new tools and AI to inform their customers' decisions about their clients' work or their own. So I feel like they have just a really huge opportunity to provide us with better tools within the platform itself. I also really like that I can manage engagement through the platform and see all of my social media feeds in one place. So all of my LinkedIn, my Instagram, Facebooks, Twitter, and Pinterest, and what used to be Google Plus before it died a very rightful death. All of those platforms where you could view everyone's comments and messages all in one feed, which was really helpful for someone like me who's a mom and constantly on the go, to be able to just pull it up on my phone and be like, okay, cool, rather than going into Facebook, into Instagram, into LinkedIn, and getting 1,000 notifications. They're all just in one place, and I really, really like that. There's also RSS feed readers in there. I can pull content kind of like Feedly. And you can find the content you need for LinkedIn and Twitter through there. It's also a CRM tool.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, not as extensive as like Salesforce or something, but it's a social media CRM tool. I think that would be the proper terminology for it. And you can literally assign tasks to your team members in Sprout Social when it comes to that social engagement. So it just enhances your ability to do social listening and everything. And I really, really like that. I think it's valuable.
Yeah, I mean, it saves time. As you mentioned, going in and out of the platforms, it's so cool that all the Google Analytics, AdWords, all that stuff is coming out with mobile apps, and you can just hop right in.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it's all about, is figuring out how to save time. I mean, time is everything. That's
time is money.
Yeah, exactly. But I love what you said on people mention that it's expensive, It goes back to our conversation of people shop based off a price tag, not the ROI. And it's like, sure, it might be 20% more expensive, but it saves how many hours and how much is your time worth? And it's like,
I don't really have to create any kind of like data poll for a client. Like, I go in, select the date range, the platforms, and it pulls all that information for me and tells me what my top posts were, who my top engaged users were, all of the traffic that was driven from that platform to my website, because Google Analytics can get connected to it too. And it just makes my life 1,000 times easier, especially when a client is like, hey, I need a report on the last 6 months so I can provide it to a client or a partner that I'm trying to get a brand influencer thing with. And you're like, oh, cool. Well, let me just pull this and send it to your way. It'd be about 10 minutes. So much easier than like, well, I got to look at Instagram and pull together some kind of thing for you.
Takes time.
Yeah.
Takes time. Yep. Yeah, that's awesome. Are you doing anything on LinkedIn? Because I mean, a lot of what you do is probably business to business, B2B.
Yeah. I mean,
what are your thoughts on just LinkedIn in general?
I feel like my face says so much about it right now. LinkedIn, I think, is a great tool for specific kinds of business people. I don't think that it's great for social media marketers to use to grow their business because it is swamped on there. There are so many people doing social media marketing, not to mention the number of recruiters out there that are constantly messaging me or people who are trying to sell me some kind of tool to use. I'm like, this isn't what I'm on here for. Like, I could care less about this data tool that you're trying to get me to try and then have me pay 4 times what I pay for Sprout Social with. Like, do your research, dude. Not interested. As a woman, I also get hit on a lot on Instagram.
Really?
Yeah, lots of booty calls, and I'm like, I
Instagram
don't
or
know
LinkedIn?
you. LinkedIn.
both?
Well, all of the above. All of the above.
All the above.
But LinkedIn and Instagram more specifically.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, I mean, LinkedIn as a platform, I think it has a lot of work that it needs to do to get it back to what it used to be about 10 years ago, where it was really just about building your local network as opposed to how many connections can you have and how many people can message you within a day. Like,
Yeah.
Vanity numbers that don't make sense.
Yeah.
It's crazy how many people chase that. But even outside of marketing, just when you talk to businesses, how many people chase just not so much the wrong KPIs, but maybe KPIs that if you focused elsewhere, you could probably drive a better bottom line, higher ROI, whatever it may be.
everyone chases the wrong platform when I start working with them. Like, there are attorneys who are like, yeah, I've been using Facebook and no one's paying attention to me. And there'll be attorneys who are like, I'm trying to build my expert witness list. And it's like, you're not going to find an expert witness as an attorney on Facebook. Maybe Facebook groups, but come on, dude. Like, LinkedIn is where you're going to be able to review someone's resume in a short amount of time compared to creating some kind of post that they might possibly engage with on Facebook. I mean, anything that comes to like your business specifically, I don't recommend LinkedIn for. Unless you're like, look at this press release. We're doing really great in our community. Yay, us. But even then, not a lot of people are going to pay attention unless you're a large corporation.
Yeah.
So like if you're IBM or Microsoft on LinkedIn, you're doing great. But even then, like your level of engagement on LinkedIn versus your Facebook or your Instagram or your Twitter or your YouTube is far less than anything else. So if you are an individual who is just starting out, like a young professional, I think that LinkedIn is really important because a lot of recruiters and businesses look to see your resume as a whole and to see if you care about your holistic digital presence as opposed to here's my Facebook profile and the night that I went out drinking. Like people want to know.
Land you a job?
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to get a brand sponsorship deal with tequila or something, sure, they want to know you're going to drink it, right?
Exactly.
But I have mixed feelings about LinkedIn, and there are other social media marketers I know that are like pro LinkedIn and will tell me that I'm dead wrong, and that's fine. But LinkedIn, I think, is great for resume building and trying to find a way to get a job. But there's not enough, I think, accessibility to businesses in order to grow a presence there. You're going to have a better chance growing your presence on Pinterest before you do anything else. And that's with an already saturated market on Pinterest, too.
Yeah, it's a ton. You mentioned at the very beginning you tested Pinterest and Twitter with no success.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you've tried and like what has it yielded? I mean, I've done Pinterest, but I haven't done any Twitter advertising. So what came from it?
Well, with the Twitter advertising, it was kind of like how Instagram advertising was on a very surface level at first. Lots of likes and lots of retweets, and that was great, but not a lot of click-throughs to the website link that we were promoting or to the sign-up sheet. So we focused more on creating a way for people to go through a Twitter funnel, sharing or promoting a tweet that was focused on something that was more sensational, and then getting them to come to our profile to look at more sensational type tweets or outrageous things, and then gaining their trust and their interest, and then having them click on something that we tweeted some other point in time. That was more effective. With Pinterest, we have tested out blogs or promoting blog links and promoting products. So we have this toy store that we work with, and instead of just writing content that no one in the toy industry was going to read and then trying to get people to go to our website that way, we started just promoting like our products on Pinterest and creating pins for them. And then Pinterest came out within the last year, this really cool store that you can have, kind of like Facebook and Instagram have for their stuff. But it's just another avenue for you to be able to promote your product to people who are actually looking for products and ideas on Pinterest. So that's been really great. And then, of course, going in and promoting and doing some super targeting with your Pinterest ad for that specific product has been really easy. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, as we do more design and graphic stuff, debating whether targeting Pinterest, I see it because it's a visual space, but it's like, is it worth the time trying to? Because it'd be a lot of figuring out as well.
I would invest in other platforms before getting into Pinterest, just because Pinterest is time consuming. Yeah, I'm in this mastermind that meets every 2 weeks on Wednesdays, and this morning we were talking about Pinterest, and the girl who made a course about how to be successful on Pinterest was like, yeah, I don't ever want to manage anyone's Pinterest account. And I'm like, I know why I don't, but why don't you? And it was the exact same reason, because it's so time consuming. Like, it's a part-time job if you want your Pinterest account to be successful within the next month or two. It's a lot of work.
What goes into it?
It's a lot of creating pins. So let's say you're a personal finance blogger. You've got 250 blog posts. You need a new pin for every single one of those blog posts, and you have to embed that and hide the pin on your website. Then you have to pin that from your website to your Pinterest board, incorporate another 250 pins into your Tailwinds tribes and on your Tailwind account. Then you have to take content from other people's Tailwind tribes and other people's content on Pinterest, incorporate that and mix that into your Pinterest posting feed. And then on top of it, respond to any comments that people leave or messages that they send you on Pinterest. So it's just like, it's like Instagram on steroids.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
But like the chances of you having traffic from Pinterest are higher than on Instagram. And I think that if you're really trying to drive traffic to some place, as opposed to promoting yourself and creating that brand recognition, then Pinterest is the way to go. Invest your time there. But if you're trying to make yourself a little bit more well-known first, like Instagram and Facebook is really where it should aim.
Yeah. I mean, it goes back to, sure, you could do it all, but there's only so much time in the day. Time is money. Where do you spend your time or your money? And is there a higher ROI trying to attack Pinterest, or maybe take that time and create a few more videos and attack social or Facebook, Instagram, and all the other platforms? And that's always what it is. It's like, sure, we could do it, but is that the best use of our time, dollars, or could they be spent elsewhere that could drive an ROI?
Yeah.
I did want to ask, so one thing that I get asked quite a bit is, especially from the small business side, is like, we're just starting social media. Everyone says you need to be posting every day to all the platforms. Like, if someone's just starting out, what are the recommendations that you would have on how to choose what platform that they should be attacking? And two, should they be spending 100% of their time on all of them, or how should they allocate some of their time?
Yeah. So we'll use a new client that I have. Their New Line Trophy over on Country Club and
cool.
Broadway, Dobson and Broadway. So they're on Broadway in West Mesa specifically. So with them, he's like, should we be doing all these platforms or focusing on one platform at a time? And I'm like, well, what's your presence been like so far? Oh, well, we've posted occasionally and posted when we have specials and deals. And I'm like, okay, so pretty standard for when it comes to people who haven't been utilizing it a lot. Yep. And I said, I think we need to look at who your audience is. Where are they hanging out? Who are the kinds of clients that are constantly contacting you to make a deal or to have a trophy designed or some kind of award designed? Are they business professionals? Are they the parents of kids in Little League soccer teams? Like, who are they? Okay, we're talking about kids sports teams parents and the coaches. Great. Those kinds of people live in Facebook groups because they're constantly having higher engaged conversations and doing most of their consumer research within the Facebook groups. So we need to establish a more consistent post schedule on your Facebook page so that when we begin driving traffic to that Facebook page, because Facebook is more trusted than your website at this point, then we have somewhere for them to go. And in these Facebook groups, we can tag your brand. People can click on your brand as long as it's not like a closed group, because then that's an issue. But then people can click on your brand, go and look at your stuff on your Facebook page, and then go to your website and convert from there. So it's just an extra step, yes, but at the same time, like Facebook groups posts show up in your newsfeed. Your Facebook business page posts probably don't, especially if you haven't been engaging with your audience consistently for God knows how long.
Gotcha. So if you create a group and they're in your group and you post within there, they're more likely to see your post that way than if you post on. Gotcha.
And that goes for everyone who's in that group too. Because if I'm sure you're in a bunch of Facebook groups.
Oh, yeah.
And anytime someone posts something new in a Facebook group, you're going to see that before you see the actual business page's post.
I mean, it makes sense because, I mean, all Facebook wants is for people to engage more. When something's coming, when something's coming from a business, it's more times than not going to be salesy and people don't want to engage. People join groups because it's like-minded people. And so, I mean, it totally makes sense. I mean, I've just been seeing a lot more, I mean, in terms of just how much more reach you have with those groups and how important it is to create the groups. And that's cool. So if they're outside of just where people, like what platforms should be posting, I love your approach in it because it's not everywhere. It's going back to reverse engineering. All right, who is your audience? All right, if we have this, it goes back to brand identity. It's figuring out what you do, who's the audience that would actually engage with it, create a couple different personas, and then where are these people hanging out? It might be 60% Facebook, 10% Instagram, whatever it is, but then it's very simple. Who's buying from you? Who's your audience?
Yeah. What's going to produce the largest amount of ROI first so that we can tell you there is money to be made here. Let's add another platform in and see if we can grow that audience and include a bigger bottom line for you.
Love it, because that's exactly our approach. Anytime we bring on new clients, like where's the ROI going to be first? Because that's the quickest way to build trust. And then it's like, cool, now we've done that. I believe you. All right, now what's the next? And then you just continually build and build that trust. Seriously love the way you think and everything like that. It's super in line with everything. I mean, just what we preach around here.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
I wish there were more social media marketers out there that preached this and that lived by this, because you can preach it and not live by it, but if you preach it and live by it, then monkey see, monkey do. Perfect. Because there's a lot of clients that I've run into who have a complete and utter distrust in social media marketers because they've been peddled this and peddled that. And it's like, okay, cool. Well, I have so much more to overcome than just convincing you and showing you that social media works. Now I have to convince you to trust me constantly, because if you're not going to hit this goal or get these results exactly the way that you want, the level of distrust is just going to continue to grow.
Exactly. So you just hit the nail on the head big time. Going back to what I was talking about, what made me want to start this was recommendations that were made more for the bottom line. And that's what helps build that distrust is let people, people feel it. And then it's like, it just creates a bad taste. So not only do you have to try and win them there, then it's from the very get, because they have a bad taste, you have to perform very quickly to build that trust. And it's crazy how, there's so much opportunity in the world that we live in to do well that it's crazy how many agencies or how many people pushing marketing, whatever it is, are just giving recommendations that are going to get them rich. Cause it's like, it takes a lot of time, effort, and money to bring on new clients. Like if you're continually looking for yourself, you're going to be continually chasing new clients, which affects your margins, your bottom line, because you're continually trying to chase new people where maybe you just eat your margins a little bit, but they get more value. And now you create a 5-year relationship instead of a 6-month. Yeah. The total ROI, all that, it just makes more sense. So it's crazy how many people just think short-term versus long-term. But I think that that's what digital marketing or just technology has done in general. People want things now.
Yep. Yeah. They've created, thank you, technology, for creating that immediate gratification desire.
A job for us, but then also,
Now make me viral. Oh my God, please, no, don't say that.
How many times do you hear that? Just anytime.
Too many.
All right, what can we do that's going to make us go viral? It's like, if it were that easy, everyone would be viral.
When I first started out with my business, like full time, I had this client, and the guy founder would always say, I want this to go viral. I want this to go viral. And I'm like, that is not going to happen. Well, why not? Do you not know how to do your job? And I'm like,
oh, wow. That's aggressive.
Don't be a dragon. Don't be a dragon. Don't be a dragon. Okay. So here's how going viral actually works, and explaining how to get to that process. And he's like, okay, well then do that. And I'm like, okay, then you need to give me time. and we need to be properly investing in a team to build this out. And at that point, he was like, okay, well, let's do that then. And I'm like, great. So I started doing that. And then after 6 months, he's like, why haven't we gone viral yet? And I'm like,
Yep.
okay, well, clearly you don't understand anything that I'm saying. So I'm just going to continue to say the same thing to you. And maybe one day it'll sink right in there. And it didn't. And I left their company and basically just was like, okay, it's fine. It's worth it. Leaving them is worth it. You don't need the money, Sarah. It's fine.
It's tough, but once you make that decision and you don't have the stress, you don't have all the stuff that comes with that revenue, it just feels better. You have a better peace of mind to help get the next person, which is a much more mutually beneficial relationship. And
I think like one of the biggest lessons that I've learned in the last 3 years has been like, I don't need to have every single person as a client. Even if it's going to make me a lot of money in the beginning, is this person going to affect my mental health?
Yep.
Is this person going to be so needy that they're texting me at 10 o'clock at night and it's 3 o'clock their time? Like, do they ever sleep? What's their personal opinion on quality of life? And, how do they manage their own personal life? And how is that going to trickle down into mine? Yep. And, there's a lot of people that I've said no to because the way they live their life just doesn't adhere to how I live mine. And not that we always need to match up on that, but I want to be able to provide my son with as much of my time as possible. And I can't do that if I'm constantly taking on a client because it makes me money.
Love it. That is so cool. Because I mean, it's going back to the short term. Everyone says yes to everything, and it creates those. I mean, it's because we talked about it. I mean, at the beginning, you got to say yes to everything to try and get things going. But it gets to the point where you either have to ask for more or else walk away because it goes back to that. Is it not even financially ROI positive, but emotionally ROI positive to continue this relationship? Because it's not just a we're the vendor, it's a partnership in growing each other. Like it really is. And so if you're missing that, it's just not going to lead to long-term success on both ends.
Mm-hmm. And there are just some people who are never going to understand that. And that's fine to say that, well, I guess this just isn't going to work out. Here are some people that I recommend you reaching out to, or, I'll make an introduction. I think they'd be a better fit. That still leaves...
That's an awesome approach. Yeah. Now, I mean, you're not a bad guy at all.
Exactly. Now you don't look like a dick who's just like, yeah, pass. You're actually a person who's like, I don't think we're going to work well together, but I still care about you and I want you to be successful. So these people are going to be more in line with your company beliefs and your personal beliefs. Whereas, this is fine. We'll still remain friends and I like your stuff on Facebook. Does that work for you?
I love that. So, I mean, as we kind of wrap up, just wanted to kind of get your opinions on it. Like anyone that's listening, again, going back to the business or people that are just starting out and outside of just trying to determine where to show up, like what's the one biggest piece of advice that you'd give someone as they approach just their social media strategy in general? What are the things to think about as you dive in?
Take the time to develop a plan that adheres to the main goals that you have as a business. What social media marketing aspects are going to help you achieve those goals? Any of them? One of them? All of them? Maybe. Understand what that connection is there. Then develop your businesses and your brands. Why? Why are you doing what you're doing? Because that's what is going to be the most powerful message to go throughout social media. Then once you understand like the depth of that why, then you can begin creating a social media strategy. And part of creating that strategy is then going to the next level and evaluating your competitors. What are they doing on social media? How can you make yourself look different and not the same? What are some aspects of theirs that you really like that you can then take and enhance and meld into what your brand is? And then, gosh, there's just so much. My brain is like, and this and this and this and this.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
But
I just need to create a checklist that someone can download.
Which, by the way, I have. But I think when it comes down to it, understanding your why as a business and getting to the bottom of why you want to be on social media. Is it because you want to be famous? If that's the shallow response you have to why you want to do social media marketing, then you need to reevaluate that. If you want to be on social media to show people the value in your product or the service that you're able to provide or how you're able to change someone's life, then go with that and start moving down that road and don't let anything stop you. More left-brained thinking is be consistent as hell with your posting. If you're going to commit to posting every single day, commit to posting every single day. If you're going to run a Facebook group or start a Facebook group, know that it's going to take you 12 plus months to actually get people to start initiating engagement on their own. I have a podcast client who we started their Facebook group with 0 members and have grown it to a little over 7,000 now.
Wow.
But it took us a long time. Like in the first 6 months, we had like 200 people in the group, and I was the only one constantly engaging with everybody.
Yeah.
And we grew from posting 3 times a day for 4 months to posting 7 times a day for another few months.
Wow.
And then posting every hour on the hour for 6 months thereafter.
Wow.
And then we stopped. We just went dead in the water for an entire month. And then we made a casual like, hey guys, how's it going? And then everyone started engaging on their own consistently. Like, I feel like that was kind of a miracle that happened, because it was a crazy theory I was testing to like jumpstart their like the spaceship falling dead in the sky, and then it just all of a sudden like you blow something up what's inside the core, and it's like, oh cool, and it worked. But that's not something that's always going to work for somebody. Just make sure that you have a strategy and a theory behind everything that you do.
Love it. Gotta think through, have the strategy, but I love the figuring out your why. Your why will then dictate your story, which then dictates your creative, which then it just who you reach. Your why is everything, and it's if you don't know your why, it'd be a good time to take a step back and reevaluate and why are you waking up every day and doing what you're doing? Yeah. So I mean, even outside of social media, that just dictates direction in your business.
It really does. Like, there's this company called Root and River, and they're amazing. They help people understand the emotion behind why they started their business so that you can carry that through into your website and your marketing and your creative. And that's like root of what your business needs to go through.
It's foundation. Everything is built on a strong foundation.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, appreciate your time. Would love for you to have the opportunity. How can people find you? Another little shout out.
Sure. You can find me at Mother of Marketing on Instagram, and you can find me on Facebook, facebook.com/Mother of Marketing. And yeah, those are the 2 main platforms. I'm Mother of Marketing literally everywhere. So just type it in and do the searchy search, and I'll pull up all the places.
Yep. And yeah, you're always posting great, valuable content, not just pushing content just to push content. It's all super valuable. So
Thanks.
yeah, go check her out. Appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.